Chapter 2. The Ground of Liberty. 1. Introduction. Liberty has been a recurring factor in history and has repeatedly been a commanding aspect of the human scene, only then to disappear into an order in essence and action radically hostile to it. It is important, therefore, to consider the roots and ground of true liberty. Liberty has obviously been repeatedly accidental, as in medieval Muslim culture. It has disappeared with none to regret its passing, as the inner logic of a culture has progressively manifested itself and dropped the procedural tensions which, for a season, gave rise to liberty. Liberty is thus comparable to happiness in that it is as a result, not to be sought for as a primary end, but rather as the product of true order. And even as a basically unhappy man can have happy moments, so basically anti-libertarian cultures can have periods of liberty without any deviation from their fundamental nature. The point is especially relevant in that current libertarian movements are radically premised on the same grounds as messianic statism, on the Enlightenment and its faith. The history of the West has seen, as Hermann Boyevert has analysed it, 4 cultural motives, all based on radically religious premises. These premises are not always recognised. They often function as the unrecognised axioms of thought and are all the more powerful by virtue of the basically religious commitment to them. Moreover, these cultural premises have as their basis a philosophical tension. With the exception of the Christian motive, they are all dialectical in nature, which means that they are basically and intrinsically divided by an irrevocable religious and philosophical antithesis, 2 central motive powers in tension and conflict. In such a situation, liberty often arises as a byproduct of dialectical imbalance, as was the case in the 18th and 19th centuries, only to disappear subsequently. As the recognition of the irrevocability of the tension becomes more and more clear, the culture collapses. This philosophical tension is, as Cornelius van Til has shown, between the one and the many, between unity and diversity, universality and particularity. The question which haunts the dialectical culture is this: how to have any unity without totally undifferentiated and meaningless oneness? If all things are basically one, then differences are meaningless, divisions false, and definitions are sophistications, in that the tyranny or destiny of oneness is the truth of all being. But if all things are basically many, and if plurality is ultimate, then the world dissolves into unrelated particulars and becomes, as some thinkers insist, not a universe, but a multiverse, and every atom is in a sense its own law and being. The first leads to the breakdown of differences and the liberty of atomistic individualism and particularity. The second is the breakdown of fundamental law into nihilism, and the retreat of men and their arts into isolated and private universes. Our naive experience testifies to the reality of both the one and the many. The history of thoughts and culture testifies to the continual shattering of cultures on the impossibility of their theoretical, religious, cultural, and political reconciliation apart from the premise of consistently biblical thoughts and faith. Operative in all these other philosophies, all apostates from the Christian perspective, is the presupposed autonomy of theoretical thought, that is, reason playing the role of God and ultimate judge, rather than reason as reason.